You have plans, big ones. You think about them regularly. The business you are going to start, the income you are going to build, the version of your life that looks nothing like the one you are currently living. You think about it in the shower, on the commute, in that quiet moment before you fall asleep when the day is done and the real you surfaces for a few minutes before disappearing again. You know exactly what you want. You have known for a while. And yet, nothing has moved. Not dramatically. Not the way it should have by now. And if someone asked you why, you would say the right things. I am waiting for the right time. I am still working on the plan. Things are just busy right now. All reasonable. All logical. All completely untrue. The real reason nothing has moved is far more uncomfortable than any of those explanations. And I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I am about to tell you is something nobody says out loud, but everyone who has ever been exactly where you are right now needed to hear. You are not stuck because you lack ambition. You are stuck because you are comfortable. And comfort is the most dangerous thing that has ever happened to you. Not because it feels bad, because it feels so good. Let me show you exactly what I mean. There's a man named Alex, 33 years old. Good job, decent salary, nice apartment, relationship he is happy in, friends he enjoys, a life that, by most external measures, looks like success. Alex also has a business idea he has been developing in his head for 4 years. Not a vague idea. A specific, researched, well-thought-out idea that multiple people in his industry have told him could genuinely work. But Alex has not started. And when you ask him why, he gives you the reasonable explanations. The timing is not right. He needs a little more savings first. He wants to make sure the plan is solid before he moves. All of which are true. None of which are the reason. The reason is this. Alex's life is comfortable enough that the pain of staying still is less than the fear of moving. Read that again. The pain of staying still is less than the fear of moving. And when that equation is true, the human brain will always choose to stay. Not because it is lazy, because it is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Protect you from discomfort, keep you in the environment it knows, reward you for stability. The brain does not care about your ambitions. It cares about your survival. And in a comfortable life, survival looks like staying exactly where you are. Therefore, the ambition stays in your head. Therefore, the years pass. Therefore, the gap between who you are and who you wanted to be gets quietly, invisibly wider, until one day you are 45, looking back at a decade of almost. This is the trap. And the terrifying part is it has no alarm, no warning signal, no moment where life taps you on the shoulder and says, "Pay attention, you are drifting." Comfort is silent. That is what makes it so dangerous. But here's what makes it even more uncomfortable. And I need you to really hear this part. You are not just comfortable because your life is easy. You are comfortable because you have made your ambitions comfortable too. Think about this. How many times have you talked about your plans, shared the idea with a friend, discussed the vision, described the business, outlined the strategy, and felt afterward a quiet sense of satisfaction, like something had been accomplished, like progress had been made, even though nothing had actually moved? Psychologists have a name for this. It is called social reality. When you share a goal out loud, your brain receives a small reward, a hit of dopamine, the same hit it would receive if you had actually made progress toward the goal. Your brain cannot fully distinguish between talking about doing something and doing it. Therefore, every conversation about your plans gives your brain just enough reward to reduce the urgency of actually executing them. Therefore, the talking becomes a substitute for the doing. Therefore, you feel like you are working on your ambitions when you are actually just enjoying the idea of them. This is not a character flaw. It is a neurological pattern. But understanding it does not make it less expensive. Because while you are talking, the window is moving. The market is shifting. The people who are doing instead of talking are building the thing you described at dinner last week. And the most painful version of this story is not the one where someone beats you to your idea. It is the one where nobody does. Where the idea just slowly stops feeling exciting, where the window closes not because someone else walked through it, but because you stop believing it was worth walking through, where ambition quietly becomes nostalgia. I used to want to do that. Those 6 words are the most expensive sentence a person can say. Now here is the part where most videos tell you to hustle harder, set bigger goals, wake up earlier. This is not that, because the problem was never your work ethic. The problem is the gap between where you are and where you want to be has no immediate pain attached to it. Today is fine, tomorrow will probably also be fine, next month looks manageable, even next year seems okay. Therefore there is no urgency, therefore there is no movement, therefore comfort wins again. So here is what you actually need. Not more motivation, not a better plan, not another book or another podcast or another video after this one. You need to make the cost of staying visible. Right now, in your head, the cost of staying comfortable is abstract. A vague sense that you should be doing more. A background hum of dissatisfaction that you have learned to live with. But the cost of moving feels concrete and immediate. Risk, failure, judgment, loss of stability. Your brain weighs concrete immediate cost against abstract future cost every single time, and it chooses immediate safety every single time. Therefore, you need to make the future cost as concrete and immediate as the present fear. Here is how. Sit down tonight. Not to plan, not to set goals, to calculate. If nothing changes in the next 5 years, if you make the same decisions you made this year, every year for the next 5, where exactly will you be? Not vaguely. Specifically, what will your income be? What will your life look like? What will you have built? What will you have missed? Write it down, in detail. Make the cost of staying as specific and real as the fear of moving. Because most people have never actually looked directly at what comfortable costs them. They have felt it, they have sensed it, but they have never sat with it long enough to understand what is actually being traded. Alex, from the beginning of this video, did this exercise. Spent one evening calculating exactly where his comfortable life would take him if nothing changed. He told me afterward that it was one of the most unsettling things he had ever done. Not because the future was catastrophic, because it was just fine. Perfectly acceptable. Quietly insufficient. A life slightly smaller than the one he knew he was capable of. He launched his business 11 weeks later, not because he had more confidence, not because the timing suddenly became perfect, because he had finally made the cost of staying more real than the fear of moving, and that changed the entire equation. So here is what I want you to take from this video. Ambition without discomfort is just fantasy, and comfort without honesty is just avoidance dressed up as patience. The life you want is not waiting for the right time. It is waiting for you to decide that the cost of not building it is finally more painful than the cost of beginning. That decision does not have a deadline, but it does have a window, and the window is open right now. If this cracked something open in you, subscribe right now. Because we do not do motivation here. We do the uncomfortable, specific, nobody else will say at work of understanding exactly what is keeping you where you are. Comment the word window if this called you out today, because the people who heard it are already thinking differently. Comfort was never the reward. It was always the warning.